The night deepened, yet the house refused to sleep. In the silence between candle flickers came a sound no one could explain, heavy, dragging footsteps beneath the floor. At first, they assumed the creaking was the old wood, but the pacing grew rhythmic, louder, as though someone or something was walking deliberately beneath them. One of the guests, a pale-faced woman with trembling hands, crouched to the floor and pressed her ear against the warped wooden planks. Her eyes widened. With fear. "Breathing," she whispered. "It's breathing under us?" The others froze. Dust leaked from cracks in the floorboards, drifting like ash through the air. Then the candle flames tilted sideways, trembling violently, though no draught was felt. The temperature dropped, and a sudden knock, sharp and slow, echoed up from the floor beneath their feet. That was no animal. In the far end of the corridor, where the wallpaper peeled like skin, a carpet bulged unnaturally. With hesitant hands, they peeled it away to reveal an iron-ringed wooden trapdoor. It looked older than the house, blackened by time and untouched by dust, as if someone used it regularly. They pried it open. The hinges shrieked like a dying creature, and an icy wind surged upward, smelling of old graves and damp rot. Beneath was a narrow staircase, spiraling into darkness. Lantern light danced uneasily against the stones as they descended one by one. The staircase was impossibly long, the walls wet and pulsing with moisture. Strange scratches ran along the stone, as though claws had marked the passage. From below came the occasional shuffle, and the unmistakable sound of a whisper repeating the same phrase, again and again, though no voice spoke it aloud. They emerged into a cavernous underground chamber, its ceiling so high it vanished into darkness. The room was cluttered with grotesque antique dolls with eyeless sockets, glass jars holding preserved animal parts, broken clocks forever stuck. At 3:33, the walls were covered in moldy portraits whose eyes followed movement. No matter where one stood, at the center of the chamber stood a large, cracked marble altar, smeared with a dark crust that flaked like dried blood. Strange symbols surrounded it in a ritualistic circle, etched into the stone floor symbols, none of them recognized. One man stepped toward the altar, but a sudden gust blew the lantern out. In total darkness, something cold brushed past them. When the flame was relit, the staircase was gone, replaced by solid stone. The only exit was now gone. The house had closed around them. In a nearby tunnel offshoot, they found a standing mirror so tall it nearly touched the arched ceiling. Its frame was carved entirely from bone, covered in cryptic runes. The mirror's reflection was wrong. It didn't show the room, but a distorted version of it, drenched in red light, as though set in a burning world. Each person who looked into it saw something different. Themselves, older, broken, bloodied, crying or screaming, but none of their reflections moved in sync. One woman stared too long. Her reflection smiled back and raised a hand opposite hers. When she reached forward, her hand stuck to the glass. She gasped, unable to pull away. Thin cracks formed where her fingers touched it, and red liquid began oozing from within the mirror, trickling down the bone-carved frame. Her mouth opened, but her voice came from the reflection instead. "Stay." They fled through corridors that twisted and reformed behind them. The air itself changed. It thickened, pulsing like a throat about to swallow. Voices now filled the space, not from ghosts, but from the house itself, whispering, moaning, laughing. The walls were no longer stone, but veined flesh. Shadows skittered across the edges of their vision, always too fast to see clearly. One of them collapsed to his knees, trembling. His eyes rolled back, and hand-shaped bruises bloomed across his skin. "It remembers," he muttered again and again. "The house remembers who we are." Suddenly, ancient nursery music played from somewhere nearby, and with it came the sound of footsteps, not heavy this time, of light like a child running barefoot. The realization hit them all at once. They were not trapped in the house. They were being introduced to it.